reason other than the politics of fear. Shame on the Senate, shame on the White House. This lockout has to end, and it has to end now. The House passed a bill. It was the Senate's own bill. It would open the government. And now it's time for Mitch McConnell and the Senate to do the same. It's not a heavy lift. It's going to be, instead of going to the border for a photo op, President Trump should be on the Hill negotiating a deal to open the federal government and put our people back to work. Now this is supposed to be payday for 800,000 federal employees and contractors in every single state. But because of this ridiculous divide and distract political games, these workers will not be paid for their service. Let me ask you something. Let me ask you something. Is working without pay okay with any of us? No! Let me hear that again. Is working without pay okay? No! See, these are men and women who took an oath to serve the public. They keep us safe. They keep care for the sick, the elderly. They help our veterans. And by the way, in this case, 250,000 of those locked out are veterans right now. Yes, sir. Those workers don't do it for the big bucks or notoriety. They serve because they care. They serve because they love America. They deserve to be paid every single day, and we're going to make sure that that happens. These are hard-working Americans. They're worried about how they're going to be able to put a roof over their heads, put food on the table. They're worried about how they're going to be able to survive. You're going to hear from a number of them today. Folks who are suffering through no fault of their own, and quite frankly, for absolutely no good reason. This lockout is yet another manufactured crisis cooked up by politicians looking to score political points, and American workers are fed up. We're tired of being pawns. We're tired of always being the ones who get hurt, and we are not going to take it, and we are going to remember. We're going to remember. So just hear me loud and clear. Stop playing politics with our lives. End this lockout. Open the government. Do your job so we can do our job. And until that happens, we won't sit down. We won't be silent. We'll never stop standing up and fighting and marching for every single worker, because we serve America. We build the roads. We bake the bread. We lift the loads. We wake this country up every single day, and we put it to bed every night. We make a run. The people that are locked out make this country run every day, and they deserve better. We're the American labor movement, and we will not be denied. God bless you.
Brothers and sisters, please welcome House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're out in the cold. We're out in the cold voluntarily because we care about running government for the people. But the president is putting people out in the cold without asking them by your leave. And Nancy Pelosi said the other day to the president as we sat in the White House, most of those people, almost unanimously, don't have a daddy to call up and say, give me $1 million. Let me tell you what we did the first day we were in the Congress of the United States sworn in. We passed a bill to open up to serve the American people. Yes, we lament the pain that is being inflicted on the 800,000 people who work for the federal government and the 440,000 people that are being asked to work with no pay. You know, back in the 1860s, they talked about working with no pay. Shutting down the government is not a policy that should be followed. What if I ran for president of the United States and said, vote for me, I'm going to shut down your government? There are some 38 million people in America. We're talking about 800,000. We need to take care of our employees, David, J. David. But we also need to take care of 38 million of our fellow citizens who are worried about getting a check to put food on their table. This is not just about federal employees. This is about hundreds of millions of Americans who rely on government for security and safety. Veterans who rely on the government to send them a check. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to keep yelling and screaming and hollering until this president opens up that government of the people, by the people, and for the people.
We are the people.
Ronald Reagan went to Berlin and he said to Gorbachev, tear down that wall. Let us all be saying, Mr. President, open our government. We need to raise our voices. We need to walk the walk. We need to talk the talk. And we need to make sure that 800,000 people can put bread on their table tomorrow. So I want to thank my friends in organized labor. Through history, many have died. Many have been injured. Many went without. Many walked the line so that workers would get fairness. That's all we are asking, Mr. President. Fairness for our federal employees and fairness for the American people. Open up their government. God bless you and Godspeed. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we have our next speaker, for the sake of security, some of you have gone onto I Street. It's very important that we keep everyone safe, so please move on to 16th Street. Those of you on 16th Street, let our brothers and sisters have some room so we can stay safe. So please stay off of I Street. With that, I'd like to introduce and please welcome Senator Mark Warner from Virginia.
We have gone through 2 years of this Trump administration. Every day through this administration, you think it cannot get worse. And then it gets worse. First of all, I want to thank all of you. Every federal employee on the work and have done their job, even though this White House has not done their job. I want to echo what Steny said. It is time to open up our government. Earlier today, under the leadership of Ben Cardin and Chris Van Hollen, all the Democrats came to the Senate floor and said, pass the House bill, open our government. You want to fight about border security? We'll have that discussion. But do not hold 800,000 people's lives as political pawns. Mitch McConnell said he can't do that. Mitch McConnell said he can't do anything that the president won't sign. Well, I would point out that the Constitution of the United States of America says the Congress is an independent branch of government. The Constitution of the United States in Article 1, Section 7, Clause 2 says the Congress can override the president with 2/3 vote. And the funny thing is, in the middle of December, the Republicans, not the Democrats, the Republicans brought a bill that would keep the government open, and it passed 96-2. Let us vote on that legislation and override this president. Friday, we're going to do something we haven't done in a long time in this country. Where workers, contractors, you think about businesses that live and work near our parks, but particularly the 800,000 federal employees aren't going to get your paycheck. That is morally wrong, that is economically wrong, and we must not let that happen. So let your voices be heard. What my hope would be is, rather than this president getting on TV, or rather than this president taking what he even called a photo op trip to the border, let Donald Trump come out and explain to you, the workers of America, why he's keeping this government shut. We will succeed. Keep the faith. God bless. Let's get our government open. Thank you.
Brothers and sisters, please welcome Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland.
It is great to see all of you, Rich Trumka, AFL-CIO, and everybody gathered here to say, very simply, Donald Trump, Mitch McConnell, Senate Republicans, cut it out, open the government, end this unnecessary and shameful government shutdown, and do it now. Now, we had a president of the United States who said he would be proud to shut down the government. There are now millions of Americans and more every day who are being hurt by the lack of important government services. We have a president who says he's proud of that. We have 800,000 hardworking federal employees who aren't getting a paycheck. I want the president to come over and listen to a mom from Maryland who yesterday started a GoFundMe crowdfunding campaign to help pay the tuition of her son at college, because she's a federal employee. And tomorrow, she's not going to get a paycheck. And she pays for her son's college on a monthly installment basis. She's not going to be able to make that payment. She had to go on the internet to try and fund that monthly installment payment on GoFundMe. And the president says he's proud of his government shutdown. The president said he can relate. He says, I know people can just make do. In fact, I don't know if you saw what the Coast Guard said to their employees and other agencies. They said, hey, when you're not getting a paycheck, here's how you can supplement your income to get by. It says, have a garage sale. It says, clean out your attic, basement, and closets. At the same time, oh, let's just have a great time during the government shutdown. Give me a break, President Trump. You know what? Between flying from Mar-a-Lago to Trump Tower and the White House, this president cannot relate to any of these hard-working federal employees. Now I'm going to end by emphasizing a point that Senator Warner made. This is a shutdown started by Donald Trump, but every day that it goes on, Mitch McConnell and the Senate Republicans are accomplices in this government shutdown. And the reason is they have the power today to vote to open the government. The House 1 week ago, their first order of business, they said, we're not going to mess around with anything else until we open the government. They sent 2 bills to the United States Senate. Both bills that had bipartisan support from Maryland. Senator Cardin and I went to the floor of the Senate with our other colleagues, Senator Warner, Senator Kaine, and all the others gathered here. And we said to Mitch McConnell, let's get consent. Because the Senate can give consent anytime it wants if we all agree. Let's get consent to vote today, right away, on those 2 bills to reopen the government. And he said, you know, we just can't do that. Because it's a separate branch of government, and nobody should be contracting out their constitutional responsibilities or their votes to the President of the United States. Nobody should be doing that. And anybody who just sits on their hands is an accomplice and complicit in the shutdown. So let's end it. We can end it today. Keep your voices loud. Keep marching, because we know that in the end, justice will prevail here. Thank you for being part of this great cause. End the shutdown now.
Brothers and sisters, please welcome Senator Ben Cardin of Maryland.
Brothers and sisters, I am proud to be here to stand with you, with my other colleagues, in unity to tell President Trump, stop holding America hostage to your politics. This has nothing to do about government from the point of view of security. It has everything to do with President Trump and the way he does business. Senator Warner's right. It's been a long 2 years. Every day we hear more and more things. This shutdown is outrageous, it's dangerous, and it has to end now. Now. It's well beyond just the 800,000 that are being asked to work without pay or furlough without pay. We have the best federal workforce, the best government workers in the world that work on behalf of the American people. I'm proud to represent them in the United States Senate. They do their work the best in the world. And they should be paid. And government should be open. There's no excuse for it. What makes this totally outrageous is that on 6 of the appropriation bills, they're not even involved in the president's wall debate. And yet the president's holding them hostage. They passed by over 90 votes in the United States Senate. As been pointed out, we're a co-equal branch of government. We not only have the votes to pass it, we can override a president's veto. Let's do it now. Do it now. Do it now. There is no reason for government to be shut down. None whatsoever. It's more than just the 800,000. It's the people of America who are being denied the services they need. It's our economy that's suffering as a result of President Trump's policies. People are being hurt, and it's got to end, and it's got to end now. So our message is simple. If we can't convince the president, then Mitch McConnell, give us a vote on the floor of the United States Senate on the bipartisan legislation that passed the House of Representatives. We want that vote now. We want government open now. We are united. We are together on behalf of the American people. God bless.
Brothers and sisters, please join me in recognizing the following members of Congress who have joined us today. Congresswoman Joanna Hayes, Connecticut 5th District. Senator Amy Klobuchar from Minnesota. Representative Tom Swayze, New York 3rd District. Representative Katie Hill for California 25th District. Congressman Don Beyer, Virginia 8th. And now we're going to please welcome American Federation of Government Employees President J. David Cox.
Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. So here we are, brothers and sisters, out in the cold on a windy day to tell Mitch McConnell to stop hiding from reality and allow a vote to reopen the government, brothers and sisters. We all know there's a simple answer to this stupid mess that Donald Trump and Mitch McConnell have made. We know that the Senate voted unanimously for the Republican spending bills just 3 weeks ago. You've heard our senators tell us over and over. And nothing has changed then except what the right-wing TV people say on TV, and our president and Mr. McConnell are scared to death of them. Hey, brothers and sisters, they were elected to do a job, and by damn, they need to do it! I'd like to make sure that everyone knows that this effort at extortion is more of a lockout than a shutdown. We're either locked out of our jobs or we're locked into our jobs without pay. You know, maybe it's even more than an accurate description that I would say it's a shakedown, brothers and sisters. It's a shakedown. It couldn't be more of a shakedown if they were wearing a mask and a gun, I can tell you that. And what's being held hostage? Our tax dollars are being held hostage. The government programs we've all paid for are being held hostage. Our members' jobs and paychecks are being held hostage. Senators, Republican senators, do your damn job! Let there be a vote in the Senate! Hey, don't be scared of the President of the United States! You were elected in your state! Do your job! You know, brothers and sisters, we're not scared. We're out here. Are you scared? Hell no, we're not scared! Do your job! Do your job! Do your job! Brothers and sisters, they can threaten, they can lie, they can steal, they can bring the United States government to its knees. But we're going to be fighting, we're going to be marching, we're going to be standing up, and we are going to make sure and hold Mitch McConnell accountable. Mitch, do your job! Mitch, do your job! Mitch, do your job! Brothers and sisters, I'd like to call forward a person that knows what it is right now. He represents over 30,000 correctional officers throughout the federal prison system. They're forced to go to work in some of the most dangerous jobs in this country. They're working without pay. Eric Young, president of our Council of Prison Locals. Eric, come on down.
Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. Our law enforcement officers all around the country today are showing up in our nation's 122 facilities. We work with some of the society's worst of the worst, enemies foreign and domestic inside of our prisons. There are murderers inside of those prisons, similar to the one that murdered a two-tour war veteran, Jose Rivera, in the United States Penitentiary in Atwater, California. Like the one that murdered Eric Williams, a young man at the height of his life in Canaan, Pennsylvania. Also the narco drug dealers that plague our prisons that murdered our beloved Lieutenant Osvaldo Alvarate as he went home to his loving wife and 2 children. Our prisons are inherently dangerous, yet today we don't have enough correction officers to basically secure our prisons from the terrorists and other security and disruptive threat groups inside those facilities, particularly those notorious MS-13 gangs the president often mentions. Today, our prisons are operating despite these extraordinary conditions, using secretaries, teachers, and cooks to fill in behind missing correction officers. This administration has levied policies to underfund and freeze our hiring inside our prisons. Yet today, we have more than 30,000 heroes still trying to go and keep this country safe. In closing, I want to remind Mitch McConnell what he stated less than a year ago. You said, Senator, we will see which senators make the patriotic decision to stand up for the American people and who vote to continue to fund our government. You said, Senator, the American people will see which senator votes to shove aside veterans and military families and vulnerable children holding an entire country hostage. You said, Senator, it is completely unfair and uncompassionate to filibuster government funding and harming our troops to crowd out every other priority. I repeat those words to you, Senator. Do you have any decency? Do you have any decency? Our pay is our priority. Funding the internal security of this nation is our priority. The mechanisms that keep the Congress and this American government working, to know that we have our United States military, our Coast Guard, not getting a paycheck. It's a sad and undecent act. Sir, we are the people who protect the people in America, and America is watching you and this Congress. Do not be hypocrites holding